Hi, welcome to NIRI 2018. I'm joined by Randall Hopkins from Nasdaq. Thanks for joining us, Randall.
Great to be here, Ben.
Absolutely. So we're here to discuss Nasdaq's Blueprint framework, which was unveiled in May 2017. So for any viewers who aren't super familiar with the framework, what is the Nasdaq Blueprint?
Yeah, so we rolled out our Revitalize framework around ways to make the capital markets ecosystem more constructive for companies to be able to go out and grow their business, do effective work with their investors, hire more employees, being able to be innovative in their businesses and really have a very constructive experience in the capital markets. We proposed 25 proposals that thought would really be additive for companies that weren't partisan. They were just good ideas that would allow companies to thrive and to be able to be effective in doing the work of being a public company here in America.
Sure. And is this partly due to the statistics we've seen about the smaller number of public companies we've seen in the US in the last 20 years? Is it partly around that and how challenging it can be for public companies?
That's definitely a symptom of what we've seen, and we've seen obviously a lot of contributors to that. We of course work with thousands of companies, and we speak every week to hundreds of private companies that are thinking of going public, and we hear really good feedback from them, very constructive, informative feedback as to what challenges they face as public companies and what prevents a company from considering the public markets here in America. And so we use that feedback to inform our blueprint.
Sure.
And that was really kind of where we started. And yes, of course, the numbers that we see about the total number of public companies and that decline is a symptom of many years of rules and regulations that we have an opportunity to be smart about and figure out what would be next.
Sure. And so where are we 13 months on since the launch? How have things been going? What are you doing from an advocacy perspective and from other perspectives to kind of further the 25 points that you made?
Yeah, so we've been very hard at work in Washington, D.C. and working with issuers and prospective issuers here in the United States to make sure that we're prioritizing the right components of that, and obviously working with the SEC. And we have to, first of all, recognize the great work that is being done in Washington around,
Sure.
Sort of focusing on this issue.
You found
in the United
the
States.
SEC administration sort of interested in
They're
having
very
this conversation?
interested in hearing from issuers, hearing firsthand feedback. They certainly are very familiar with our work around Revitalize and the blueprint itself, but they also want to hear firsthand from issuers and
Sure.
understand which of the 25 items are highest on the list, how to understand the particulars of those challenges and how they impact their ability to do good investor relations work, good hiring, good initiatives, innovation for their business, things like this. So we've had some so the tone in Washington is very much focused on this issue, and I think also we've seen some legislative actions. We saw, of course, the proxy advisory firm legislation, HR 4015, that did get passed at the House level last in Q4, fourth quarter. And just last week, we had 3 other items pass the House Financial Services Committee.
Sure.
And so we definitely are seeing incremental progress there. I would say, we didn't start this thinking it was a 1 year and done. We saw this as really a very, very long-term commitment, and one that we were happy to lead in terms of finding ideas that had consensus around them, that were impactful on all of these components of the ecosystem, and I figured that was going to be a very long-term labor of love. And we've sort of seen that bear out, and we're staying very focused on the process. Each of the 25 has a different has a different path in terms of either if it's a legislative option or other. And so we're working on them independently and making progress incrementally.
Sure. You mentioned the proxy advisory firm act or bill that passed through the House. Obviously, that's an issue that NIRI have taken up as well. They wrote to the SEC on the subject, along with yourselves and several other business groups. To what extent are you partnering with groups like NIRI and other sort of entities that represent issuers on your 25 points?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. It's in Washington D.C. That's the way things get done. Is
Sure.
Make sure that you have organizations that understand the issues, that have conviction around the issues, and can really help to move the ball, if you will.
Sure.
And so NIRI and others have been great partners over the years on many of the points in the 25. Not all equally, and that's the same for an issuer.
Sure.
That is to say, there are issues that for some companies are bigger than others. So we work very hard to build coalitions and organizations, combinations of people who understand the issues and who can help advance the needs of the companies and of the country. Right?
Sure.
This is not for for a small subset of America. This is for all of the members of the ecosystem, and helping investors be able to grow their wealth for their families so they can afford education and retirement. It's for companies so they can hire and create new technologies and initiatives and cure diseases. And,
Sure.
these are very big issues for all of us, and the topics that we take on are naturally good in coalition sense because of the gravity of the items that we're speaking on.
Sure. And so finally, you mentioned that you had a few items passed through the House Financial Services Committee last week. Is there anything else that we should be looking out for that you think could be on the cusp of happening in the next sort of 3 to 6 months from a regulatory perspective as it relates to the blueprint?
Well, I think the three items from last week, which are XBRL, the resubmission thresholds, and also the issuer choice on market structure, those are obviously moving. I think the other things that we're certainly focused on are also from the blueprint are the 10Q, the optionality.
Yep.
That is a big one, and that will be soon, very
Sure.
soon. And also short sale disclosure, which
Right.
we, of course, with NIRI have done a lot of work over the years there. So I think those are some of the areas that are, again, this isn't a short-term process, but those are things that seem to be moving more to the top of the list and certainly in priority order.
Excellent. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Randall. Appreciate you stopping by, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Will do. Thanks, you too.
Cheers. Thanks.